So if we can get Italy and France to mix those two dragons that they have together, they can make children. The Kalasa Kaboi and the Yatakala are both physical dragons in the United States. There's two physical dragons in the United States that would work, which is the Kotoko and the Yamana, which is two dragons physically alive. But what she was naming is the two dragons in Italy and France would mix very well with the Highland dragons, and they would birth a society of built figurines, basically humans. Those two mixed together makes the human species DNA mixed and make more children. Because of them two, they caboose it together and birth society, making rebirth a capability. And that's where humans come from. They come from dragon layers and stuff. Then there's Kiatakas and Dopalas, which are dragons, species dragons, which are dinosaurs that are still, they're not extinct, they're real, they're alive, and I can feel their senses. They're underneath caves and stuff, buried under treasure and stuff. They're species of unknown, they're real, and they're crawling around the world right now as little guys. See, if those two take the Kapusa dragon and mate with it, it would make a Kalata, which is the big species of a vegetarian dragon. To make the vegetarian dragon, they would do a Kapata and the Kamoi. That means they're basically dinosaurs. Dinosaurs get born from dragons. Dragons make dinosaurs. Dinosaurs make humans. They're species of unknown. And there's 5,555 billion of them. If you count the ones that are human shaped like me, of dragons and dinosaurs, you would say the Kolotos are still alive, the Kitas are alive, the Nyatos are still alive, and the Plutos are still alive. And then there's Kiatokolois, and Biatakalas, and Daliatas, and Miatakalas, and Miakalas, and Doliatas. Those are a couple of the species of unknown that they're saying are extinct, and they're not. They still exist in reality in this world. There's 2,555 billion of them that are able to produce. They're just on the other side of the world, broken up in pieces, right? But if you do a kaluta kapa, it brings them back to society because they mix breed with the kudos. The kudos are the little bitty guys, the little lizards and stuff. See, they make kitas. They just grow into bigger versions of them. It takes 10,555 years for a dragon or a dinosaur to come out of a little lizard. So the little lizards, they are billions of years older, they become that big. It just takes quadruplet power to make them bigger, which is Eorsas, Miatas, and Miatas. These are the specific type of dragons that can come out of lizards. Those little bitty white lizards that you guys are talking about, the albino ones, they turn into Kitas, which are well-known historical dragons back in history, 1200 BC. And what they did is they capusa their inside, making them belligerently big, making them powerful too. And the capusa now is a dragon as well, came from a lizard family member. See, all these little lizards that you guys have on Earth, they turn into dragons and dinosaurs and stuff. It's just, it takes several years for them to get big. Several years. 25,000 BC is a long time. If you count the years it took for them to get that big, you know how long society took for dinosaurs to exist. See, they did Kaluas back then, so they had um, fabrications under the ground that made kitas, which is the fabric of time, building up society to make it growth and strengthen. See, back then, we used to have big, uh, all the little things were big. That's because in our mindset, see, we had tiatas in our brain, which were creators of heaven and earth, and they created land pieces of Sita, and Sita was known as making kiatala toys, these beings of species that made beings of species bigger. And Nakamoto avoid so many things that they made layers of skin under the ground cavern. And when the ground cavern picked up the dirt of the must, it made frictions of reality, making reality bigger than it was known as Asita. So in your mind, you created billions of different things, and they started molting into bigger things instead of staying smaller like they were. They were blowing up obliterations of Kisela, which is a slime liquor that they created back in 1702 that blew up and shredded the ground. And when it did that, it did a Kabuto, building Neanderthals and dirt and grime. And it did this grime stuff that built Camosa, and with that Camosa, it's got what's called the Siverations in it, because in 12 BC they used to carry it more often. A Severian thing, it's a shredder, sizer thing. It built more species back then than they did now, because they had the creator back then. The creator back then did Kisa Namaz and spells all over the world. He right now is a spirit. He was the one that blew up everything. With his knowledge, he could recreate everything back to the way it was back then, when French, Italian, and Vietnamese was known as the main language. Back then, they had every language all over the world. But somebody kept dropping Tusa, which was a spell that blew the obliteration spell off of people where they couldn't remember what they were saying, so they would forget. And Fiata is known as a spell that kept you remembering every bit of information that you needed to know to live. See, without that Miyasa no Kuro, you can't do well. With it, you could do billions of light years worth of science in the world. That Tisa Na, there's still bits and pieces of it, but to get the Tisa Na, you'd have to get to the Kisa, which is a brilliant girl back in Narayata times. Narayata times, she was known as the obliteration girl, who created multiple universes all over the world, making Kisanda paths all over. And her brain was accelerated 555 degrees Celsius that made the different dimensions become Celsius, and Celsius was known as a Kisata skill. Known back in 1702, they used to have 2,500 of them, all within 1 meter of each other. But because of the breakdown of the Golotos, they started breaking down Kitolo toys all over, making it deflamations rather than cheminations. And cheminations were the better Celsius of the society. With those skills, the world would do a lot better. But with the Kitolo toys in the way, it's really hard to get anything and information going through in society. A lot of alliterations will happen and iterations would happen. See it, Celsius would build a Kabuto in your brain and accelerate 555 degrees of Diatas all over the world, making creator being brilliant rather than Kiata. See, this girl here has the Kotogo skill, but not the Tiala skill. See, with her skills, she could do Kolopia and Yatatas, but she can't do Okianas or Nokianas, which were well-known history factor abilities. Back in 1701, when she first was born, she was able to do Kutakos and Miotakos, but the problem is the obliterations were getting in the way of her kiltering. She kiltered 555 billion species all on her own and couldn't do it because of the Kitoko. See, it kept blocking her view of interest and making her go to Gyatas instead. See, her skills are a little bit over the edge. She had every calculation in the world in a matter of a minute, but calculations getting in the way kept stopping her from filtering the abilities that she had, which is the Kisanomo skill. Kisanomo skill was made in France and Italy first. Whenever they first made them, filtering different abilities all over the world, making Tokodos all over. They would help society build emotions and stuff, but not enough ketos. See, they didn't have the ketos necessary for the being studies. And with the ketos, she can bring anything to life. She would have to have Kotoko and Yataka work well together like Kialalakas all over the society, building every created necessary being in the world in a matter of a minute. She's known as the Dimension Girl, known for all her abilities. With her in mind, the world would be so much different because she had Kotoko and Kyamatas and Tiatas and Alatas and Nadiatas and Kaliatas and Soliatas and Beatatas all over her in a minute and named her the Dimensional Girl rather than the Kabuto Girl. So they got it confused and kept calling her the Gotoko Girl, not knowing she was Kisa, the Ma herself. She kept it a secret because she knew they would try to take the de-interest and de-anonymize her into something that she didn't want. She wanted to be a being of unknown superiority, showing the capacity of the world in Tisalas. See, they wanted her to do protocols, and she's like, I don't want to do protocols. I want to do Kitalatas, which are brilliant little guys who make the world so peaceful it's not even funny. Well, they wanted to do alliterations of skills of unknown beings of society.
Sleep aid.